show of hands who's ready to talk about the warm-up, the stamp. Ready? Show of hands who's ready. It's the majority. Let's chat. What are we thinking for this? Share with me your ideas. What are we going to do? Olivia? I factor out 2. Why am I going to factor out 2? What's that called? True A is 2, but the fact that you can factor out a 2 means that there is a greatest common factor. So when I factor out 2 from this quadratic, what remains? X squared. Okay. Is this done? No. So can someone fill us in on that mental conversation we're going to have right now on how we approach factoring this? What are we going to say? Winta?
Find the GCF, the factor of 30 that would equal 13.
Good job. Factors of 30 that will add to 13. Now, because this is a positive 30, what are my sign options? Very good. Both positive or both negative, because what is a negative times a negative? A positive. Now, I see that B is negative, so that tells me that both are going to be positive or both are going to be negative. Good job. So what are factors of 30 that multiply to 13? Good. And for them to add to a negative 13, both are and we're done. Whoever has the stamp, go ahead and bring it up. All right. Let's check homework answers. I'm going to come around real quick, do a spot check. Let's see homework. Quick lap. Have it out when I come by, folks. Good. Watch the video.
Okay, yeah, I got it. You actually got your homework stuff. Did you get non-cycle stuff?
Did the warm-up help you?
I don't know how to do
Homework looks awesome. Let's check answers. Ready? Here's 1 through 9. Let's make corrections. Mark right, right, wrong, wrong. If any questions, we'll talk.
The number 5, I use 2 plus 2. 2 and 3 instead of 1 and 3.
I can see why. So you said for number 5, you used 2 and 3?
Mm-hmm.
But see how this 6 is negative?
Yeah.
It means that one of these has to be what? Negative. So what's negative 2 plus 3? Not 5. And if I made the 3 negative, I would still be at 1. So because that is a negative 6, one of these has to be negative. It can't be 2 and 3. Questions on 1 through 9? Yes. Number 1?
Yeah.
On why I was able to factor out 4y?
Yeah, because I factored out 2 is fine.
Good. So if we, now you see. Okay, so 2 is a factor. So she's saying for number 1, she factored out 2y. If I factor out 2y, what's left? 4y minus 2. Is there still a GCF on the inside that you could factor out? Yes. So you found a factor, it wasn't the greatest common factor. And if we find the greatest common factor, we're done in one step. Can I scroll down? Be good 1 through 9? We'll be starting today's class notes with number 15. So I'm more interested in you grading 10 through 14, and we're going to talk about 15. Notice the strategy for 14. What are we going to factor out first? Factor out that negative. A negative 1 counts as a GCF out front.
Can you explain number 9?
Yes. 9, 10?
14.
9, 10, and 14? So let's do those. Okay? So from the homework, last night's homework, the first one up for discussion is number 9. What does number 9 say? Q squared minus 7Q minus 10. So we're looking for factors of negative 10 that add to negative 7. What were we thinking could be possible? 5 and 2. Now, because this C term is negative, what does one of these have to be? One of these has to be negative. So if 5 is negative, what is their sum when I add them together?
3.
Negative 3. If I made the 2 negative, positive 3. Anywhere near a negative 7?
No.
And my other option would be 1 and 10, which nowhere near 7. So not factorable. If this was a positive 10, and I could have had both of these negatives to get a negative 7, we would be in better shape. Be much different. So signs definitely matter. That was number 9. What was the next one? 10. What does 10 say? So we're looking for factors of negative 30 that add to negative 13. What are we thinking? Negative 10, negative 3? Let's see, is negative 10 times negative 3 a negative 30? No. So because this C term is negative, both of these can't be negative, because if they're both negative, they multiply to a positive. So one of these being negative doesn't allow that to work. Are there other factors of 30 that could help us out here? How about 15 and 2? Which of these needs to be negative to get a negative 13?
15.
The 15 or the 2? 15. The 15. So this factors to be x minus 15, x plus 2. Next.
14.
What does 14 say?
Negative x squared plus 11x minus 28.
Okay, this negative out front from today till forever will count as a GCF. What GCF can we factor out?
1.
Negative 1. So if I factor out negative 1, that leaves x squared minus 11x plus 28. And now we're just looking on the inside. We're looking for factors of 28 that add to negative 11. Good catch on that. Has to add to a negative 11. So what are we thinking for our factors of 28? 7 and 4. Now I have to multiply to a positive 28, but add to a negative 11. Both negative. Now when I write my final answer, this negative out front will stay out front. So I'm going to write negative on the outside, and then my factors are x minus 7, x minus 4.
How come you flip the signs and you put the inside?
Because her question was, why did these flip to being negative on the inside?
Like from the first one, it's plus 11 minus 28, and then on the inside.
Okay. She's saying, why did these change? Why did this go from being a positive to a negative and a negative to a positive? When we factored out this negative 1, see how this negative 1 is now on the outside?
Mm-hmm.
It flips all the signs on the inside.
Okay.
Because now watch what happens if I were to distribute this back in. Negative x squared plus 11x minus 28. So factoring out a negative 1 leaves all of the values the same, just flips all the signs. Good. Last question?
Can I see the first two questions, please?
Yes.
No, like on the homework sheet.
Okay. While she catches up on this last piece, let's get ready for board notes. The title will be Factoring A prime C small. Factoring A prime C small. Yes. A is going to be a prime number and C is going to be small. You'll see what that means in a sec, but that's the title. Factoring A prime C small. Good? Still 2.2. 2.2 is all 2.2 will be all things factoring. So we are still in 2.2. So 2.2, but today's title is Factoring A prime C small. We'll talk about what that means in a sec. We're actually going to start by using number 15 from the homework as our launch for today's notes. Who's got 15 from the homework for me? Thank you. Does this fit the description of our title? Is A prime and is C small?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what we mean. Yes. Small will be at we're going to consider small anything less than 20.
What's a prime number?
And what is a prime number? Vin? Yes, a number with two factors, but there's something special about about a prime number's factors. One in itself. So the only factors are one in itself. For example, 2, the only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Can you give me another example of a prime number? 5, 3, 7. Those are all prime numbers. Good. Now, notice here, do we have a GCF? No, definitely not. So here's our approach. Let's say method. Our approach, method, strategy, whatever word you like to use. Are you guys good with paper towel, or I can get them out? Okay. Hey, sorry, wrong number. Hey, it's Janae in 142. I have a coffee spill. Could you help me out and radio for a mop? The student's coffee. A student dropped her coffee. Thanks. Okay. No problem. I'll just leave a note. When Peter comes tonight, I know it just gets like sticky with the cream and stuff, so we'll just deal with paper towel, but for bugs and stuff, you know. All right, thanks. Oh, I have paper. Okay. Never mind. All right. So if anybody's listening to this video, coffee spilled, very exciting. Let's get back to the notes. Yes, I totally did. Strategy. We're talking strategy. Find factors of A and factors of C that when multiplied together add to B. Factors of A and factors of C that when multiplied together add to B. I know, right? So in quotations, I want you to write outer, inner, add to middle. Outer, inner, add to middle. You'll see. Outer, inner, adds to middle. So let's see what that looks like for number 5. 15 from the homework. 15 said 2x squared plus 7x plus 3. What are factors of 2? So right away I know that I'm going to set up 2x, leave some space here, x, and again leave space. This is going to be our setup. Pencil is key because we're going to be guessing and checking. We're going to be guessing and checking outer, inner, adds to middle. So what are factors of 3 that we can try?
1 and 3.
Good. Where do you want to put 1 and where do you want to put 3? Do you want to put 1 in the first or 1 in the second?
1 in the second.
1 in the second? So now we are going to actually guess and check outer, inner, right? Outer, inner. By outer, I mean this. So what is 2x times 1? 2x. What's 3 times x? 3x. Positive. So these both have to be positive or both have to be negative. Both positive or both negative. Can I get to 7? No. I can either get a 5x from that or a negative 5x, right?
Yeah.
So what could I rearrange? What choice did we initially make? So instead of putting 3 here and 1 here, what are we going to put in the first factor? 1 here and a 3 here? Let's try again. So let's, again, outer. What's the outer get me? 6x. Inner? 1x. C is positive, so both have to be positive or both have to be negative. Can I get a 7x from that?
Yeah.
If both are done. 2x plus 1, x plus 3. So we're now going to work on 4 practice examples using this method. Guess and check, outer, inner equals middle. So let's all say it together. Guess and check, what is it? Outer. Exactly. So let's look at our first example. Class notes. Practice. (7x squared minus 4x minus 3. Any GCF here? No. Is A prime? Yes. Is C small? Yes. So we're going to be guessing and checking inner, outer equals middle. What are my factors of 7?
1 and 7.
Yep. So right away I know we're going to put what right here? 7x x. And again, I'm leaving plenty of space to fill in my guessing and checking. What are my factors of 3?
1 and 3.
Where do you want to try 1? Where do you want to try 3?
1 in the first.
1 in the first one? And that would put 3 right here? So now how are we going to... You want to switch it?
Yeah.
Why are you right away saying you want to switch it? So they're already visualizing this outer gets me 21, which is way too big, right? Because ultimately, what are we trying to get to?
4.
4. So if my value was like in the teens, like 18, something more higher to closer to 20, that would tell me I'm on the right track. But let's use what you're seeing, and let's just switch these right away. So what are we going to put in the first factor? 3. 1. Notice how I'm not committing to signs yet. So let's get outer. What's the outer? Inner? 3x. Now let's take a look at C. What is C?
Negative.
Negative, which means what about one of these?
1 is negative.
So one of these has to be negative, and I'm trying to add to a what? Trying to add to a what? A negative 4. So to get a negative 4 out of this, which of these has to be negative?
7.
The 7 has to be negative. Which makes the first factor a negative or the second? Which of these got you the negative 7? The second one. You did 7x times the negative 1 would get me that negative 7x. So that means that this will be negative and this is positive. Very good. Number 2. (2x squared) plus 19x plus 9. What should I check for first? Do we have one? Nope. So what are we going to do? What's that phrase? Guess and check.
Inner,
Outer,
middle.
inner, adds to middle. What are my only factors of 2? 2 and 1. So right away I know 2x, x. What are we going to try for 9?
It has 2 factors? 2 other factors?
Yes. So what do you want to try first? We're going to guess and check. What do you want to try? Because 9 is 3 times 3, but it also could be 1 times 9. It also could be... We already said 3 times 3. So you want to try 3 times 3 first?
1 and 9.
Let's see. What's the outer?
2 times 3.
2x times 3 would be a 6x. And a 3 times x? Anywhere close to 19? No. Would it matter if I rearrange the 3's? No. So what other factors of 9 do you want to try? 1 and 9? Where do we want to put 9?
Outside.
On the outside? So outer would now get me 18x, inner gets me 1x. Pay attention to the sign of C. C is positive. Both negative or both positive to get a positive 19x? Both positive. 2x plus 1, x plus 9. Confidence, 1 to 4, 4 being super confident, 1, where are we? I'll take 3.5. Let's look at 2 more examples before we start some practice. Number 3. 6x squared, yeah, but this is practice with me versus independent practice. 6x squared minus 26x plus 28. Thoughts? Observations? I know, these are much bigger.
It has like 2 primes. Yeah. 6 is not
I have a GCF, which is what? 2. Can we factor out 2?
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's factor out 2. If I factor out a 2, what's left? 3x squared minus 13x plus 14. Is A now prime? And C is still relatively small? Yeah. So this 2 is just going to chill out front. Okay? It's going to hang out there. What are we going to write for our factors? 3x and x. Yep. My only factors of 3 are 1 and 3. What do we want to try for? Are we looking at 14 or 28?
14.
Good job. We're paying attention to 14. What factors of 14 do we want to try? 1, 7. You mean 2 and 7?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, let's try. So let's work with 2 and 7. We are now working to get to a negative 13 or a negative 26. Yeah, good job. We're just looking here on the inside, at this inside resulting piece that's on the inside. Yes. Well, I don't know. We want to try 2 and 7 first, but maybe we will have to try 14 and 1. We'll see. Where do you want to try 2 and where do you want to try 7?
7 is the inner.
Here?
Yeah.
7 right here? And a 2 right here? We're now going to guess and check. What's the saying? What's our phrase? Outer, inner, add to middle. So let's check. Outer would get me 6x. Inner gets me 7x. Am I on the right track? Now I see that I have a positive C term, so both have to be positive or both have to be negative. But I have to add to a what? Both negative. And we're done. So the final answer would be 2, 3x times 3x minus 7 times x minus 2. It's got to be factors of 14. So let's see if so the question is, couldn't we have used 1 and 14? Let's see. So I'll put it off here to the side. So 3x squared minus 13x plus 14. So let's see 1 and 14. I still have to have 3x and x. Do you agree? Where are we going to put 14 and where do you want to put 1?
14 on the inner.
14 on the inner? And 1 on the outer? What would the outer get me? And what's the inner get me? Can I get to a 13? No. So what you're thinking of is if A was 1. If I had x squared and then a 14 over here and a 13 in the middle, right? Then it would just strictly be factors of 14 that adds to 13 or something like that, or negative 13. So then you're on the right track. But when A is not 1, everything changes. Good question. All right, last example before I pass out the independent practice that you can work on with a partner. This is number 4, right? 3x squared plus 13x minus 10. Try this one solo. What do we got going on? Michelle?
You want to see my answer?
What did you try first?
Oh, I tried 5 and 2.
Where'd you put 5? So 5 times 2. Where'd you put 5? Where'd you put 2?
2 in the inner, 5 in the outer.
And then we're going to check. Outer got you 15x. Inner, 2x. What kind of sign does C have?
Negative and positive.
Yeah, C is negative. So which one of these should she make sure is negative to get that positive 13x? And when I go back to my factors, which got you the 2x, the outer or the inner? Inner. So 3x minus 2, x plus 5. Who got that? Awesome. Let's get to work on some practice. Whatever you don't finish becomes homework. You can either work solo or with a partner. Here we go. Go ahead and get started. You're welcome.